Welcome back to this RWBY discussion. I'm Connor, that's Mike, that's Travis. Now, initially, we weren't even planning to do this, but then some of you made comments saying like, hey, you going to do this? Clearly indicating that you were interested. So we decided, fine, we're going to do this. And especially after this episode that came out today, I want to start doing this again. But yeah, basically, if you've been looking for our reacts or discussions, that's why we haven't been doing them. We didn't even consult about it. No one even brought up the question. We were just like, I guess we're not doing this. But here we are, RWBY Volume 9, episodes 1 through 5. And we're just going to give a super quick rundown of the plot. The girls fell into the Ever After, the land of fairy tales, which is essentially Alice in Wonderland, but not. And it's their journey throughout that place. The girls shrink, they get big. We see a knight. There's other characters that come in, and they're all plays on the Alice in Wonderland fairy tale.
This is actually Alex in Underland.
But I have absolutely no path forward of how we're going to do this, and we're not going to be doing this the way we normally do, of me going through every little detail step by step, and then we talk about it. We're just going to start talking about it and assume that you've watched it. And if you haven't watched it, it's on Crunchyroll, no longer on Rooster Teeth. Or if you want to pirate it, we won't tell anybody. Anyway.
Yo, shout out to potato cheese, right? I mean,
potato cheese.
We could go episode by episode, go through those a little bit by bit and build to the big finale right now. And that's I was kind of concerned about this volume when it started. I talked with Mike about some of these things. But like when Ruby's walking through the forest and there's the bird that starts cawing behind her and then she just never acknowledges it, I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
I want to just talk about the whole elephant in the room about like Weiss's character development. I'm just gonna bring it up here. Like, yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of bad things just kind of happened. And at first I thought they were doing good because they were like, all right, she took a more serious tone, a more mature, serious tone. We're like, okay, let's wait till everybody's here so we can discuss this. Everything that happened, and then.
And then suddenly Weiss is jumping around everywhere, being hyper emotional, blah blah blah. Which hey, she's more animated than last volume, which is good. They critique that later on.
I was gonna say they made sure to bring it up in the episodes, like they actually had them talk about it directly. It was like bringing it up, like kind of like breaking the third wall a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. But I couldn't also tell if it was meant to be like, okay, we get it, we're trying better, or can you now shut the fuck up, kind of a thing. I wasn't sure which way they were trying to go.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't really. I wasn't completely on board with that. I felt like they could have just stuck with the serious tone. Maybe use somebody else for the animated joke stuff. Yang, she's been the token character for that. So like.
Got him. Totally roasted.
Yeah.
They may be getting ready to step away from that a little bit more.
I'm hoping. But I do think that I completely agree that the tone has not been consistent with that. They just lost an entire city. Weiss lost her family, her kingdom, her home, everything about it. And she's the one who's currently the jokingest character. And she, I think, should be the one who's the least joking. Even RWBY, I think, could still be a little more happy than she is in terms of following that. So I do think they do need to do some work. But at least RWBY has been very consistent in her tone. She's very sad. She's depressed. She's just kind of apathetic going through the motions.
Yeah, I do like her.
Yeah, I like a more serious RWBY.
Yeah. Maybe I should have went that far ahead. I forgot about the whole, like as they were falling, like as they opened up. What do y'all think the little flames are? The little, I guess, fireballs.
Fireballs.
As they were falling down, and like Neo was trying to take out RWBY.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about this.
Yeah, I kind of looked right past that.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Those like people that fell that are like rising back. Well, I guess they're kind of stationary. It looks like they're falling, and those are like kind of just sitting there. What the heck are those things?
I don't know.
Never mind. Let me not dwell on that. But yeah, I gotta say I appreciate like Neo like still holding on to that deep seated rage. Just I appreciated that they were like, all right, She still wants to kill her. She still wants to go at it.
Maybe it's the souls of the dead. And it's not episode 1, but in episode 5, you get a mention of like ascension, characters ascending when they die. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is their afterlife, just formless energy. I don't know. Maybe it's just lights. Maybe it's just cool aesthetics.
I mean, it's cool.
She just reached her hand into it, so I guess there you would expect there to be something more from it than just an aesthetic.
Definitely Neo like still holding on to that anger and transforming into it's all those different people.
I love her holding on to her anger. I'm really sad. The one thing that I'm really sad about Neo and her transformations is I wish that she had transformed into Torchwick at some point.
She never has she?
Yeah.
Not even once.
Maybe it's too painful.
I was just gonna go to the mice.
All right, the
my
mice.
favorite character, Little, so far.
How does one Little?
I like Little. I think that she's a great person to come in and break the tone with comedic relief. I think using the world to do that, as they mostly have been, is definitely the way to go. And hopefully we get less of Weiss jumping around, which I know some people really love. I've seen people, like unlike you all, I'm a degenerate who uses Twitter. And I've seen people absolutely love Weiss being like that. They live for it. But I don't like it.
I mean, the only reason I don't like it is because I liked her serious tone more. Just consider like just based on like the circumstances that it just came from, and B, I just kind of like the tone that it gave. Like overall, like I said, it's like this is kind of like I said, like kind of like their anchor is kind of what I was thinking, but not really nice.
I don't know what I was expecting. I thought that they wouldn't find each other immediately, but I mean, we all watched Volume 8. We understood what happened with Oscar. I don't know why I expected anything else. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm a little upset about it because then you see Neo and Ruby fall at the same time fighting each other, right? And then later, like, I don't know if it was episode 2 or 3, you see her come down and fall down from the sky, but it was like 2 episodes later. I don't know what exactly the time frame was there, but it was after the Jabberwock had left, and then you see her come down later. It's like, so, and like, at what point does that like constitute like days or years or whatever?
Yeah.
Also, I had the same thought there. I especially after they were like, "Oh, there's multiple acres." I was like, "Okay, like, why didn't they just like take a couple episodes for everybody to go to their own acre, have their own little backstory thing, and then meet up afterwards?"
Yeah.
But
they've really never done anything like that in RWBY anyway.
Yeah, but they should have. The setup was there. Missed opportunity.
I think it would have been interesting. But oh well. I like the Jabberwock though. Speaking of that thing, I hate calling it the Jabberwock and not the Jabberwocky, but I really like its design and the way it kind of like does the like after effect of its movement.
It does look like resemble Grimm a little bit. I think.
I thought a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
And I'll just throw out the idea, something that I've definitely bounced off of Mike and a couple of other people like Kiri. I feel like this might be in some way related to the gods and having created their own fragments of light and dark once again, and maybe another attempt or an old attempt.
After we talked about it, I thought about it a little bit, and I guess I'll probably talk about it maybe a little bit later, but actually I'll just save it for later because there's something else that's more related to it. But yeah, no, I guess that's not too much. I guess there's the mice bit, and then the Jabberwock, them meeting up, and of course like Weiss kind of giving like the rundown of like everything that happened, and then it comes to Penny, and I was like, as soon as she passed out, I was like, that was me in the moment where they were like, where they decided that they were gonna just like offer. I was like, all right, this is a flashback moment.
Definitely a sign that Ruby's getting in over her head, maybe.
The Yang lost her arm.
Yeah. Yang lost and got her arm back. Yeah, you talk about those orange little orbs of energy again. As I'm just kind of rewatching this as we're going, it is in the outro or the intro, I guess, for the rest of the series. Those orbs of light coming in right at the beginning. So maybe there is something with them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's magic. Maybe they're going to learn that magic and aura draws from the life of previous creatures. Who knows? Every time you use your aura, every time it gets used up, every time you use a semblance or magic, you're killing the soul of another creature. I doubt that's the case, but that would be who knows.
All right. And since we're on the topic, we gotta talk. We gotta talk about the opening. I watched the opening like 8 million times. I looked at the opening song and I'm like, okay. So first off, opening song. Do y'all think it's about Ruby or do y'all think it's about Neo or both?
I think some of it's about Jean.
Jean, okay. Didn't think about that.
We can touch on that one now, or we can touch on that one later if we want.
If it's related to the recent episode, let's touch on it later.
Okay. I think it's probably talking mostly about Ruby. It could be talking about Neo as well, but there is a part that could be talking about Jean. I think pretty much the first opening bit is all about Ruby.
Yeah, we'll revisit once we get to the end, just because there is also some stuff. But I think part of it, yeah, like you said, I think the beginning is about Ruby. That first, I think, like 3 stanzas. But I also think it parallels with Neo. But we'll come back to that.
So did y'all notice that in the beginning, the theme song, then when it shows them running, it shows 5 people instead of 4?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that first person Alex, I guess?
Presumably.
Yeah, there's a few theories I think we've got floating. So it's either, so what we think currently is, well, what I think currently is either A, it's Alex, B, it's Neo, or C, it's somebody we don't know that is maybe either related to Neo or related to Ruby, just because of how they show both of them. They show that person in parallel with Ruby, but they also show it with Neo. So it's either related to both of them, one or the other, or it is one of them. But yeah.
Well, I just the way it looked, it almost looked like they had I mean, it's definitely okay. Now that I'm looking at it, that's definitely Alex, because you can see the things coming off the front of her head.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go through it real quick because, like, yeah. So I mean, there's a couple things that I noticed. So, like, of course, in the beginning, they Fallen. They kind of show all the characters that had fell. Also, nice theme song. I actually like it musically, but they show each character, just a picture of them currently, and then they show them from when they started in the beginning of RWBY and their growth, like their actual physical growth, them aging. And
I like seeing real quick on that note. I like seeing the old models in the new engine.
Yeah, it's nice. I was like, ooh, that's kind of nice. Yeah, as they show all the characters, they go through Weiss, they go through Blake, Yang, and then Ruby. Well, Ruby's is notably different because they don't show her. They show her last one, but they show hers like not facing. Like everyone else is walking forward the whole time, and she is walking forward, and then she's just standing there. And then they show the picture of mystery character. So then they kind of go through some of the scenes in the story. Then they kind of show them going through what looks like the acres, and that's where I think it gets interesting because they kind of show like, all right, so obviously something is either going to happen with Ruby, or she's going to make some sort of decision, or something's going to happen with Ruby in particular. And then we start to see that whole parallel thing where, like, there's the mystery character turning around and it's Ruby, and then they switch over to Neo. And then they kind of do the same thing, I think, again, like a little bit later in it. But that's where it's gotten like, who is this? Like, is this Alice? Or are they saying like Alice is, or Ruby is doing what Alice did, or in some way doing what she had did here in the past? Is Neo doing that same thing? Is she doing the opposite? I'm trying to figure that out.
That's not her hair. That's a bow thing.
Yeah.
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 But Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think they would just show a glimpse of her and then not have her in the show at all. You know,
Hmm.
like this is this person, but we're never gonna bring her in. It's just that's who they're following, kind of thing. That'd be, but
Yeah,
I don't know. And then I thought that it would take her longer to get her arm back. I mean, they're granted they did not give Ruby her weapon back yet, so that's a
Mhm.
thing.
And which with that we could jump into the next episode then.
like I guess just to skip through the episode, they kind of the only other thing I guess I found interesting was like the book, which was the fairy tale, the 9 mystery figures behind Neo. They show the Rusted Knight, which
Which we now know who it is. We'll touch more on that later.
we now know who that is. The tree has a face.
Yeah.
Tree has a face.
I hope the tree talks to them.
Same. Yeah, then we see the jack, and then they show kind of like it looks like all the acres, or at least all the stuff that we're probably gonna encounter. They show the red prince and the pawns. They show the jackalope and the rusted knight. They show the mystery character, and behind her, standing in the picture, some woman we maybe don't know, but there's a person.
What if it's
behind
her older?
What if it is her older?
With what we know about, huh?
Interesting you said.
What?
Dang, we're
What
not gonna
if-
get these sex on this.
Oh God, should we just talk about that? It's hard to dance around now. Should we just talk about it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, episode 5. The reason why I kind of regret not doing reactions after this, after that episode, Jean or the Rusted Knight comes out, saves the girls, protects them, removes his helmet to reveal that it is Jean, aged up.
Team Ruby. You finally made it.
Yeah, older John
All right. So
with long hair and facial hair.
I just
and a
want to
deep
say,
voice.
yeah, he changed up.
He matured.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say I called it though.
Why's he gotta be the Rusted Knight though? Like he don't.
He's only got the one pair of armor. It's rusted.
But
It's all
okay,
rusty.
but then there's the whole like so they had these fairy tales, right?
Mhm.
And the Rusted Knight was in the fairy tales.
Yep.
So was John the Rusted Knight from that fairy tale as well?
I
Good
think so.
question. Good question.
And like how does that work? Like
So-
is there different pockets of time that they fell into, or
So
Interesting that you bring that up. Oh, sorry.
with the intro, there is a bit where we see Jean and a bunch of clocks around him. So something has happened that sent him back in time, or he fell back in time. We don't know exactly what's happened. It could be he made a deal with someone.
I don't remember in the previous season how far, like at what time point did John fall?
Jean was the last
He's
to
the
fall.
last person to fall. Yes.
So that makes no sense.
And so I've seen some theories about this online, and I have my own. But since we're on the intro with that matter, we do see Jean, and there's the clocks around him. But it is kind of curious because the clocks aren't perfect. As in, if you freeze frame it, let me get that little angle right up here again. You can see that it's like a classic clock face, but there's no 11 and there's 2 12s.
I just called I was like, I said it and I was like, all right, there's no way they messed up, right? Like,
What is? I wonder what that
whatever.
symbolizes. Like two different time periods, I guess, or
I don't know. There are a number of things it could be.
Yeah, when the 11 struck 12 too early, there's like 8s on the dials. Like I don't know. Only thing I know is like
With
you know
with fairy tales, it could also be that you always have a lot of like when the clock strikes midnight, so it could simulate like a loop or some issue in time of it striking midnight twice or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like at 2 o'clock, but I don't know. But I remember seeing that and I was like, what's wrong here? Like, did they mess up? Is there something time here? And here we are. I
And
knew
if it is a mess up, I'm gonna be annoyed.
that is gonna be still it.
But that also gets into the lyric. I guess we can just talk about that as well. Waves of gold overwhelm my senses. A fire blooms. Why should I fight to connect with a world I cannot exhume? Trusted love, the world is ungrateful. Family estranged, hatred won. What I'd give in exchange to be happy without trying. So it could be the kind of thing where he gave up, like as we've seen multiple people offering deals for things, mental states or memories or things like that. What if he forgot? Like, what if he gave up a trusted love? What if he gave up his memory of Pyrrha or something like that?
Ooh, okay, all right. I see how you think. Yeah, okay, yes, I can see that.
Like trying to just be happy, and as a result, that's what happened. That's what the deal was. That's a theory I've seen tossed around. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I like it.
All right, no, I could see that. Looking at this, and then says to her tree.
What if they end up like? What if it's a thing where like they end up somehow Ruby and them end up going back in time to when John gets there originally, and then they go through it again, kind of thing. That'd be cool.
That'd be interesting. It might be what happens. I mean, they are following Alex's trail this whole time, as that's essentially what the path of the story is. So it might shift from a more metaphorical to a literal path at some point. But with her, that was what I came to earlier, with her being older in the back portrait of that of the intro screen, it could be that she's still here.
All right, so hear
What
me
if
out.
her and John are together?
That could be.
All right, so hear me out though. Hear me out. All right, so this is maybe kind of crazy, but so at the very end of the opening, we see the mystery character wake up on the shore, and then we see Ruby's scythe wash up on the shore. All right, what if either
So
this
Ruby's
is
scythe is in a different time period. Yeah.
right,
makes
right?
sense.
So
That could be. Yeah.
and presumably, like if my theory is correct, this is at the beginning of when this realm was created. So what if one of the people that fell, like just an ordinary person, fell down here first, and that is the person who this whole realm was created for or from, since they were down here. That would make sense why, like, I guess there still would be some sort of weird time thing, but that would be like why Jean existed there before everybody else. Is because he fell and he was put there around the same time.
You know, it's gonna be crazy when we find out that this whole world was created because of Penny.
Penny created it. She didn't have the
Yeah.
staff. Actually, she
You know,
didn't have the staff.
So, like, you know, how that sword kind of represents that sword represents Penny.
Mm.
At one point during this, it shows her pick up the sword and look at it, and then behind Ruby, the sky is the same color as the sword. So I'm just saying, there's some semblance there.
That could be. It could also be that the old woman may have used the staff to create it, or if she fell through, that was it. And she also wrote the fairy tale, but she wrote it before, and the world created it, or the world was created from her fairy tale instead of her writing the fairy tale from her experience.
Oh, you mean like the previous person, or like one of the maidens,
Like Alex.
or like like Alex? What if Alex is a maiden?
That's also possible,
She could be.
or a former
Alright,
maiden at least.
Yeah, I'm stopping to use that. All right.
If they get the crown at the end of this, feels like Ozpud has a line in like episode or like volume 4 or 5, where it's like, no, the crown's better hidden than the other relics. If they fucking find that at the end of this, I'd be fucking blown away.
I mean, that'd be crazy because he said don't fall. Like, why would you say that?
It is an ominous warning,
Why would you say that?
especially since they don't die when they fall.
Yeah, how would you know? How would he know? Somebody had to. Something happened. There's a mystery behind this. We're gonna get to the bottom of everybody this.
Okay, but how do they know about the fairy tale? Because someone got out of there.
Well, that's
wrote the fairy tale.
That's what I said. That's what I was arguing against earlier. It could be that she wrote the fairy tale, and then she ended up having the staff, or fell in, or used the staff to create this world in some way based off of her story.
That makes sense then, yeah.
That's another argument. Yours is probably I mean, that's what yours is what they're more talking about in the show. But I like my twist, especially with the older looking woman behind her in the portrait.
Wait, all right,
hello there. I am
What is-
Alex. Sorry.
No, you get does anybody remember, did Cinder as a child, in her backstory, did she
Cinderella.
read? It was Cinderella, right? Does anyone remember if she read any other like fairy tales in her books, or does anybody remember if she mentioned Alex or any other fairy tales? 'Cause I'm trying to remember, because she was the last person to have the staff before, everything was said and done. Everybody
Well, currently
dipped
it's
out.
in the hands of Salem.
Well, now it's insane, but like while they were like down there, when everybody fell, like she was the last person to have before like all the gates and everything closed up.
Maybe. But she
Actually,
didn't
John was
use the staff to
technically.
create that, though,
Yeah,
if that's
true.
what you're getting at. Because we know that she used the staff to create the fire that trapped Watts. And then presumably Salem used it again to create the tidal wave that consumed the city. And that's still kind of fuzzy. I think that's what happens, but it's really not properly clarified. And again, there is no way in hell Salem could lose now that she has that staff if she can just make a tidal wave in that instant with no fucking doubts.
Easy.
Ooh. Unless she
Easy.
did create the sandstorm. Is that a theory I had last time? I don't remember. It's been 2 years.
Something like that. Yeah. Let me stop making theories. Let me stop talking about it. It's gonna get endless.
This is true. We'll throw in one more theory here, just in homage of Zach. Any just completely insane, absolutely not possible theories that you just want to make for the laughs of it? Like John's actually a time traveler, and that's what happened. I really hope we get more John backstory. That's the one thing that I want above all else from this volume. And with the way they made the twist, I enjoy the twist, but it does make me worry that we might lose some of who he is. I'm hoping the opposite happens, and it's going to be like we actually explore him. But I don't know.
Yeah. Oh boy, if he is able to like return from this, like just normal John, but with like however, like it's literally been years, maybe decades. Cause I saw some gray in his hair, so I was like, it's probably been decades since he's been there.
That's going to be one big question: is when he leaves, if he leaves, presumably when he leaves, what will he leave like?
Yeah, is he gonna retain all of that experience? Just like aged, like man, wow. Yeah, let's see what happens here.
Jean being a badass due to a time skip. It's not unheard of. Essentially, the hyperbolic time chamber.
Hey, I'll take it. Right, yeah. I guess we can roll the episode 2.
Oh, this just made me think of something that they might do in place of that.
What's that?
Killing him off, and then they redo the story like things that happen, and this time save him when he's young. I don't know.
Ooh, all right.
Kind of a paradoxical situation, but
because yeah, no way they kill him off like completely.
Right.
I don't think. I don't.
We've had too much foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I've like in episode like 7, I think it is, volume 1, episode 7, we have the thing with like Ozpin or Glinda being like, I don't know how this Jean kid got in, what his transcript said, well, but he's clearly not capable of this level of combat. And Ozpin, it cuts to his eyes, he just kind of looks over and goes,
coffee, and then
I know something here. And in volume 4, there's the line from Tyrion, like, and you do interest me.
But why? We never got the answer.
Yeah. I can almost guarantee there's some people that are going to be very mad that John fell and is taking up screen time and things like that, quote unquote, taking up screen time. Because I know there's some people that get really mad that Jean gets as much time as he does because the show's called RWBY, not Jean and Ruby. That's like, I mean, but I just want to say this. If you're someone who has that opinion, I understand where you're coming from, but Jean is the main character behind RWBY. This has been clear from the very beginning. Who did we get our episode arcs of in the entire first volume? The main girls and Jean. He's a main character. Ruby spelled with a silent J.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, I won't like I'm personally not gonna dig into that anymore. I actually might come up one or two more times, but
All right, well, we can continue the discussion now. More into episode 2. It kind of starts off with more about Weiss being completely tone deaf to the story, but it's good for a laugh if you like that kind of a thing. We don't, so I think we're just gonna move on from that. And they end up making their way towards a little village with a bunch of I don't even know how to describe those characters, board game characters, and they have a little village, and we encounter the sale. I forget the guy's name.
Jinxie.
They encounter Jinxie, who sells them things.
You! Jinxies.
But in exchange, he names his price, like a hug or true love. Very ambiguous things. I enjoy his character. Though I am kind of sad that he didn't make a deal with any of the girls. Like a real deal.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of did, but he was just like, I think the writers were kind of extending beyond the story. I don't want to say breaking the fourth wall per se, but I mean, I guess it kind of was, because they were like, well, I guess it wasn't, but they were like, yeah, oh, you don't have enough hope, do you? Like kind of a direct question to the characters, in a way. So I don't know, it felt weird, but it felt like it was kind of like either like they were trying to extend or be an extension of like the audience, saying like, oh, you don't have enough hope, oh, you don't know what it's like to be loved, that kind of thing, instead of like an actual deal. It's how I felt. I mean, I didn't like dislike it or anything, but that's kind of the vibe I was getting from that.
I felt like it was them just calling out more that like these issues are what they're currently dealing with. Even though Yang's is kind of fake, because Yang does know what it's like to be loved, and it could have been that she turned away because she didn't want to give that up, maybe, or something like that. But Ruby's, I felt like, was a direct call out. I'm happy she feels hopeless. She should feel hopeless. They have all consistently fucked up and destroyed every place that they have been. And sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes they've done the best they could. And other times, Atlas, it is their fault. Even if you disagree with me, it's their fault. Yes. I'm looking at you, Zach.
That's a whole separate discussion that I'm not gonna bring into this, because all I'm gonna say is like, yeah, things could have happened a different way.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Yeah, it's not all their fault, don't worry. I'm not vain enough to actually mean that statement. But they should have done things differently. And that's we'll just talk about it right now. I wish that when we get into the next episode, maybe it's the episode after, I don't remember, where they have those visions of their past selves confronting them. I am sad that Ruby is the only one who is so full of doubt.
Yeah, it's 2 episodes. 2 episodes for me. It's episode 4.
Yeah. All right, we'll get back into that later.
Yeah, but so here's okay. So with Jinxie, since we're already on the topic, so here is where I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, I feel like they're able to use magic here. I mean, I guess it has to be, in my eyes, it has to be magic. So like he has his whole thing with the deal, right? And then at the end, he's like, oh, you can't touch it till the deal's done. And then like his magic transforming trash into treasure, right? Because like the semblance, you use your aura and things like that here, but like these are all like not humans, like these are just creatures in like completely different realm. So what if this is magic? And since they're using magic here, what if our party can use magic? And just an example of is like a little bit later, not to skip over too much, but like RWBY is like they all kind of sit down at that one point, like near the end of the episode, and it starts raining because she's feeling really bad. And then it kind of stops raining when she starts to like feel a little bit better and start to kind of confront like the issues that are in front of her. But kind of loose theory there. I feel like they can use magic here, but we'll see.
That actually could make sense. Is it at the end of this episode when we see Neo? Is it? It's the end of the third episode, not this one.
No. Oh yeah,
No.
that's right. Ricky.
We'll just talk about that real quick. That actually could make sense because when Neo makes her alternate selves, using her semblance normally, they're more tangible. They're more real this time. So that could be the case.
Yep. And then raking, shrinking, but like I said, I'll. That's
Yeah, I
also
mean,
latest.
yeah, magic definitely exists, but the question of
Can they
whether
use
or not it's inherent in everything that's here, or if it's just something else. Is it just part of the story? I don't know.
Question mark.
This is kind of eking into the whole, hinting to the whole Jean being related to Ozpin. You know, King of Vale, knock on wood theory that I had, the classic. You know, because Jean moves through time. What else does time stuff? Ozpin's staff. It's a reach. I get it. But it's also kind of, it follows Oz. I forget, what's his first name? Osman? Oslo?
Ozma.
Ozma, that's it. Follows Ozma's kind of arc a little bit of the White Knight, of the knight in shining armor protector.
Rusty Knight.
Rusted Knight. But I mean, in reference to Ozma and his past story, them both being knights trying to defend the people. If Jean gets sick, he's gonna die. I'm just saying that right now. That's gonna, if he gets sick, he's dead. Because magic can't heal sickness, apparently.
That's the one thing.
Fucking COVID, man.
Took him out. Rest in peace, man.
Fucking RWBY quarantine. I mean, they kind of already had that in the last volume. Let's be honest. More salt. That's an interesting little plot. It is kind of like Dora the Explorer as well, when they're like, oh, which one of these relics is Yang's arm? Is it the green doll, the pink bunny, or the big staff that's roughly the same shape, size, and color of her arm? Who knows? Who could say?
And of course the crystal sword belonging to the legendary hero, the greatest hero of all time.
Yeah. Green doll becomes Penny's sword. I am happy that Penny's still getting some love.
Yeah. They have to do it like that though. But I do appreciate this.
Well, you know, it's not like she's coming back, so.
Oh, she is.
I certainly hope she doesn't. I certainly hope things stay the way they are.
If she does, it might be in a vision. Something like RWBY has to deal with.
I'm okay with that.
Can you imagine, like, she's a robot girl again, like, body's all twitching like a horror movie?
Oh gosh, no.
The sword's gonna break,
Please.
and then she's gonna be like, "I'm free."
I'm combat ready, head spinning around.
Oh no, please. No, I can't. I'm gonna pass out just like we did. I'm gonna do it again. I can't do it. But I think this just goes to say, because the whole thing was like the ever after, when Alice is like, her shenanigans through the ever after is her just like lying, cheating, and stealing and doing bad things in order to survive. And case in point, you know, they were like, we're not like Alex. And then the first thing they end up doing is robbing Jinxie.
I don't remember Alice in Wonderland all that much. Did Alice steal from Jinxie, or the equivalent of that vendor in Alice in Wonderland?
I don't really remember Alice in Wonderland.
It's been a long time. I also don't know if they're building it more off of the book or whatever.
Yeah, I really
Which
need
I've
to
never
look. We'll probably get some comments, I'm sure. Somebody will know.
I'm trying to think of who Jinxie might be from the movie or book.
There was a peddler.
Yeah, I remember a vendor in some way, shape, or form, but I don't remember a thing about them other than the vague shape of their cart.
Yeah, that's more than me. I just remember there's a peddler. That's about it.
For all I know, he could have been Hitler. So
that would have been a unique twist to that story.
Yeah. Anyway, they get all their stuff back. Ian gets her arm. That one poor man who is bamboozled is forced to or he demands his hug back from Jinxie, and Jinxie does give him his hug back, a
Yeah, he wanted a
return.
refund for sure.
It would be funny to do that.
Might be the greatest joke in all of RWBY, honestly. But then we get the introduction into the prince in the next episode.
Yeah.
And I'm just, he wanted me to say this. Zach is putting the prince down as his best boy and best girl. So,
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. For this episode? Or just
for the
this
entire
five-
thing.
five synopsis? Oh, okay. Okay.
No comment.
Yeah. I know we've talked about this in with a few people here. Some people like Zach have really enjoyed the prince. Other people have really detested him as a character. I like him. I think he's a fine addition to the story.
I would like to see the king version of him.
Mhm. But he's dead.
Well,
King's dead.
kinda.
Kinda. Yeah, he's pretty much dead as far as we know, as far as the story's going.
We got some info this episode.
And yeah, that's they present Penny's sword to the king. The guards do, and he's insulted because it's green. So he throws the sword away and has his own men beheaded. But I guess it comes up a little later. I guess they're toys, so they can't actually die. So it's kind of just like a slap on the wrist equivalent.
Yeah, still pretty dark either way. Yeah.
But we also have the mention when the Jabberwock kills you, you don't go to the afterlife, whatever the equivalent is in this story. Honestly, I'd rather be beheaded by the prince than risk the Jabberwock killing me in that case.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if they did die, they lucked out.
Yeah, because at least you live to get served another day at least, right?
But the majority of the third episode is kind of pointless for the most part. But we get a cool fight scene. RWBY plays some variant of checkers or chess with the prince, and the girls get shrunk to be other pieces, and we get a fight scene of them fighting the other pieces. The really cool shot of Weiss being an angel. I like that. And the music, I think, is a fucking bop.
Yeah, I really like that fight.
Part of me
I
was
really
like ping pong. Kind of thing. Yeah, I like the combos they had. That was cool.
Yeah, I like seeing more combos. Need more team attacks, just like the D&D did.
Yeah, and then summoning that giant frozen blade was cool.
Yeah. Her classic. I am sad a little that we're not seeing more of her glyphs in various usage.
You did say she was out of dust.
Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't remember that. All right, well, at least they kind of talked about that, but I also don't think that they used enough dust in the previous fights to justify that concept. I think it's just kind of
I think she said it when they were trying to get Blake's guns out of blades out of the vines.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
the beginning first episode.
Okay, I just forgot about that. In which case, I don't like it for other reasons, just because I think the glyphs are cool. I wish that we see more dust-based glyphs.
Yeah. But at least we get to see your semblance.
Maybe that'll be Weiss's thing. She won't need to have that anymore. That'll be her magic.
That would be cool. That would be a fun way to work around it. But then at that point, you also don't need the glyphs.
So maybe beyond the fight, I think they do at least kind of mention a little bit. So now like they kind of, okay, the story is different. It's not really, they're getting the picture that the story is maybe not as to the book as they thought it was. Because the king of the prince, and then to top it off, it turns out Alex, at least as far as we know, is a human.
Yeah.
Right. They mentioned that it's basically a human's fault. The king is gone, and now the prince is here, and probably some other things. So
basically, they mentioned that it was basically the sequel.
Yeah. That's the main purpose of this episode, is pretty much establishing that fact, as well as we also get the prince's head cracking, kind of showing his temper, and maybe that'll come back in some way. I can't imagine we've seen the last of him, so And pretty much the episode ends with them meeting the curious cat.
My favorite character.
The king? How do you know him?
Yeah. I hate his name. I hate his name. Love the character.
We'll
I
call him
think
CC. Yeah.
I think it. There you
For all
go.
intents and purposes.
Yeah, I think that he's itsy but also courageous, which is cool.
Very wise. Speak some cryptic messages like, we all change when it's our time to change.
Yeah, I like the riddles. I think
Interesting.
the dialogue in this volume has been very good. Just in terms of writing. And then it's at the end of this episode where we see Neo finally fall down. The Jabberwock looks at her. She uses her magic semblance, whatever it is right now, to make actual physical duplicates of herself that she didn't seem to intend to make.
So was she able to make more than one copy before?
Yes.
Well, like, kind of. Like, not like this. But, but yeah.
She would make an illusion or something like that. So theoretically, she could have it look like this, except it seems very clear that these are like actual duplicates, not just an illusion or changing how something looks.
Could be magic.
It's gonna be
So
OP.
I'm looking forward to what comes of this. I'm looking forward to the inevitable fight between Neo and Ruby. I'm hoping we see Torchwick again, at the very least, just like a brief like look at him. Don't even need to hear him speak. I know the voice actor's kind of a scumbag now, so if they don't replace the voice actor, I just hope we see him.
Just, right before like a potential final blow, just turns into him. Like this is for Torchwick. Oh, maybe she'll talk. No, just playing.
Between this time of the volumes as well, we also got the book Roman Holiday, which is all about Neo and Roman. And I haven't read it, but I watched a YouTube rundown of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna read soon.
So we get the story behind the two of them together. And I enjoyed what I heard. It makes Roman seem competent, unfortunately, which is kind of a retcon when you think about it.
No, it is not even kind of. Definitely.
But that's why I'd like to see Roman as well, because he's so ingrained to her backstory. That's the main reason I want to see him. Well, then this is volume or episode 4 is where we continue into. This is where the Cheshire Cat's commenting on their adventures up till now, being like, "Well, what happened to this girl? You're a lot more animated or talkative or whatever. Why did you so bland the last volume to Weiss?" Whatever he says. Just commenting on audience criticisms that have happened in the past.
Yeah,
Basically, just letting them know they hear what they're saying, I guess.
I mean, I kind of didn't like that part. I mean, to voice it like that, I mean, okay, like we still didn't get any answers. Like, so I'm like, all right, what's the point?
Yeah, I want to think it's just a cheeky way to say, "Hey, we've heard you," but it's just, I don't know. With some of the people that I know have worked on this show, with some of the climate that Rooster Teeth has had in its past, you just never know. But I'll move forward on the assumption it's just a cheeky "we heard you." And taking the 2 years to do this volume, I think it definitely shows. I think the animation's very good. I think the writing's better so far.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, I think they made the right call, especially for a volume that has so much change compared to the normal settings and characters. But they end up going into the next little region of the Ever After, the Mushroom Forest. I forget what it's called. If you haven't noticed, so we didn't take notes for this stuff. We were just, spitballing it. And I like the way that they've handled the caterpillar, making the centipede and all that. Yeah. Because the caterpillar I always thought was just like kind of a bland riddle character who was worthless. It's been a long time since I've watched Alice, though, like we said. So maybe my opinion on him would change now. But the centipede, I think, is solid. He's very direct, but just like a fucking asshole.
I am
I
trying.
liked how the
I also really like his voice actor.
I liked how the cat gave him some of his heart after.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But that was cool little magic that was done. Like to put him on the right path. That's what made the cat one of my favorite characters.
It's very Kingdom Heartsy.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. They go to him looking for a way to get bigger, and he decides, hey, you know what? How about a trip down trauma lane?
Hold on now. Yeah, they asked to grow. And what was he not giving them a chance to grow?
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's very good. Okay.
That actually lines up with what he was saying before, like how they stray from their path.
And it keeps the riddle aspect to him, you motherfucker. All right, that's good. That's good.
That's good stuff.
Me and Mike have definitely talked about this scene. I really like the dialogue in this scene, especially Yang's and Weiss's. I really fucking love.
Yeah. This part. So like after he he takes some a few puffs and he breathes out in front of everyone, just like hot boxes the whole room, and then and then it goes into like they see across from themselves in the past, basically, past image of themselves. And yeah, like the dialogue was like I liked it a lot. And it basically was like, all right, basically you don't have to stay the same. You can be whatever you want. You can get your arm back.
If there's something I'm missing, it's not because I've lost it. It's because I haven't found it yet.
You can be a cat. You can be a human. You don't have to be a faunus.
A simple life wouldn't be my life.
And
you don't have to be a Schnee.
You don't have to be a Schnee. You drop the name into a regular person, right?
I am the granddaughter of a hero and the child of a villain. I will not be defined by my name because I will be the one to define it. With
Yang, Blake, and Weiss, like the reflection that they have on their past. And actually, I had to go back and look at the episode where Oobleck asked him, like, why do you want to be a huntress in the first place, right? And then they all answer, and they're like, they the same people, Yang, Blake, and Weiss, they all answer, but then they go back and they're like, well, we don't really 100% know. We kind of know, but we don't have an answer. Like they couldn't really at that point say, this is why I want to be huntress. And then we go back to this and we can see Yang, she didn't have the answer, but she's still going to continue to look forward and look for that answer, right? She wouldn't go back and just to get her arm back, which like in the flashback episode, she's like, basically she's a thrill seeker. She wants adventure. If she helps people along the way, cool. If not, whatever. She just wants, adventure. Blake is like, she's seeking equality. She wants the world to change for faunus and humans to be equal, which I'm not going to really say much about that because we didn't really see, after.
That's just going to lead to an Adam rant here. We can move on. I've had enough of those.
All right. So no, equality, cool. But either way, she's like, it would be a betrayal for me to be like, I'm going to abandon that path. I'm still going to seek equality. And then we go to Weiss and she's like, and hers, honestly, I like the best. And the reason I think why is when I went back and looked at it, her reason was pretty much identical to what it is now. She was like, I'm a Schnee, there's, there's honor in my name and I'm bound by duty for the Schnee name. I'm a fighter. I'm going to help people. I'm going to do the right thing as a Schnee.
Like one of my favorite parts about that was like the whole, granddaughter to a hero. She's just got so many parts and layers to who she is now. Granddaughter to a hero, daughter to a villain, yada yada yada. It really helps with her character development.
Mm. My issue with the scene is I don't know if all of it's earned. I think Weiss's is pretty earned. With the Blakes and Yangs, I'm not entirely sure.
Waiting for them to grow as characters too. They've really lagged on me.
It's like Yang, she has the whole, I really like the line itself. Like, if I'm missing something, it's not because I lost it, it's because I haven't found it. That's a really great and powerful line. But again, it just goes back to the fact that when she lost her arm, when she stopped moping, she really didn't suffer anything. it is literally just a perfect replacement, but now she can toss it as well.
And throw ammo into it. Like explosive ammo.
And it's, I guess I don't know what I'm hoping for, since I'm wanting the past to change with that, essentially. But it does make the scene hit a little not as hard for me. Because if she'd struggled to adapt to the arm, to come to terms with it, to grapple with her PTSD, I think it would have been a phenomenal scene for her. And Blake kind of goes through the similar trouble where she really didn't change much. She strove for equality, then she left, then she strove for equality. Then she sort of made a decision in favor of equality. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Very much room for growth on both their characters. I like Weiss.
Yeah, Weiss is for sure. Because like I said, hers, regardless of like me wanting her to be a certain way in the season, her just definitely tick for tack. Like now, in the past, they were aspiring to be huntresses. Now they are huntresses. Looking back and seeing what they wanted to be versus who they are now and who they are going to be. As they're kind of alluding to in, it looks like the season. Once they get out of here, what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna be? Why are you gonna do, the actions that you take? Why are you gonna do them? So like hers in particular, like, yeah, I was like, cool, perfect. And then of course we get to RWBY, and which was, I would say all of our, I don't know if y'all was y'all's favorite, but it was my favorite for me, because kind of said, like, hers was the only one where, in the same thing in the past, she was the only one who didn't get asked why she wanted to be a huntress. It's already clear because of the first episode. She was like, I want to be a huntress. I want to be like the people in these fairy tales, who are always saving people. And then boom, from then up to now, a big reality check. It's not like the books. Everything doesn't work out okay. And it all is it's a big weight, a lot of pressure. Like, yeah, it's not like, it's not perfect. People die, you lose. You do things that have very severe consequences. Thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people die because of one decision. Right. So it's like, yeah, all this pressure is like on her, and it feels like she's like, no, I don't really want to do this. Like, no, like, I don't want this pressure. I don't want to be, I don't want to be in this situation. So I want to see what she's gonna do. Is something gonna happen where she's gonna change in like not a good way.
And we do, back to the intro, we see her slowly lagging behind and getting more depressed as everyone else is still trotting forward the same way they were. I think it does kind of open the door to her getting the most of that character growth, or her losing herself in the process.
Just like the song.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be curious to know if Jean will kind of parallel what she's feeling, if he'll be able to help pull her back from that.
Yeah.
And being like, yeah, I felt the same way you did.
Yeah. I was like looking at it. Yeah. It's like basically her feelings of unfairness. The reality of things aren't the way that they were supposed to be. Like in the fairy tales, they mentioned her losing her mother. So she's feeling like loss. The pressure of being a leader, which, like in the beginning, she was more like, you got to take care of all these things. You don't have, I think it was like she said, like, you don't have the luxury of thing. I can't remember what she said, but it was basically, yeah, you don't have the luxury of like giving up. Oh, that's what it was actually. Yeah. You don't have the luxury of giving up. And now she's being faced with that exact scenario. So yeah, it would be a big change. And I would really like that kind of turn where it goes all the way to just before she breaks, like a flip where, something happens to where, she makes a decision that, she's going to move forward, in the best way that she can. She's going to be that leader. She's going to be the huntress that she wants to be.
I don't think we'll get this, but I think it would be cool. I like the way you put that. I would like to see her put to the point of breaking and then her breaking, but then kind of exploring like you do with a weapon, like Jean with his, with the sword, experience her getting reforged. Maybe her soul bonding with pennies or something like that
Oh.
to rebuild her. You know, kind of like I forget what it's called. That the Japanese so the Japanese method of like fixing pottery with gold. It's kind of like that, you know. It's not, you don't always have to hide the cracks. Sometimes you can let them show and let it be better for them with the rebuild. Maybe they'll do that to the prince. Who knows?
In his crack space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the highlight of that episode. And you saying that, alluding back to the opening, like in sequence. So they start on the beach, then they go to the Red Acre with the red prince, and then they go to the forest, which is where we're at now, which is exactly where we see them flip over to the clock with the missing 11 o'clock. And then after that is where they basically show like the flip between Alice and then Ruby down to Neo, if they're going in sequence. Which I just noticed they like an interesting because they're all running on the paths that look like the ones that were created with the staff of creation.
And I think it will indicate that they will lose Ruby here pretty quickly. Like actually be separated from her, as they've kind of already come close to multiple times.
As they continue to follow down the Alice path, that's what's going to happen, because it shows her moving further and further back away from the group.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means distancing because of ideals or gonna necessarily be separated, one or the other.
I think it's probably going to be both.
Maybe it'll be a thing where like she gets separated with John and they go off in the other direction or something.
That'd be interesting. There's also in that opening, there's the scene with the rusted knight. Oh fuck. The rusted knight being surrounded by flames. Jean Arc is built on Joan of Arc, who gets burnt at the stake.
Don't say it, man.
Oh shit.
But remember, here, like in the real world, they don't die.
Well, like I said, I think they're gonna lose old Jean and they're gonna go back in time some way to get young Jean again.
Or he'll be he'll be reborn. He'll find his purpose.
Yeah, like a phoenix.
Maybe.
He won't be the rusted knight. He'll be the burning knight. The flaming
knight. The burning knight. Because it is Cinder. He has a I would assume he would want I would assume he if he wanted revenge, he would want revenge against Cinder.
Maybe he'll just like do the whole Mario thing and just Yoshi off of that deer. Right at the last second, the deer gets burned. He's fine,
Yeah. She named the deer Juniper as well, off of his team.
Jackalope, you corrected me, and now correct.
Oh man, if Jean gets burned at the stake, that's gonna be fucking. Whew.
It makes sense, especially if he's fighting against what's her name, Cinder.
I don't think he's gonna fight Cinder here. I mean, I guess maybe he could fight a Neo transformed into Cinder.
She can use magic, then she can maybe she can use her powers too.
Yeah.
Maybe this Neo is OP.
Oh man. Let's just get into episode 5 here then. The home stretch.
Yep.
They make their way to a little lake in the middle of that forest with lily pad boats and things like that. Small little town with a bunch of vendors selling various of their knickknacks and stuff like that. Weird place. I like the cherry blossom at the top, though. Or not cherry blossom. The is that cherry blossom?
Lotus.
Lotus. That's it.
Lotus flower. Yeah.
Always a fan of lotuses.
Yeah.
Lotus is a symbol of Ren. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be something with that.
Ooh. Lotus blooms twice.
Yeah.
That. Lotus blooms twice.
The Leaf Village Lotus blooms twice.
There's an actual saying that goes like that. I can't remember the actual saying, but it's like the lotus blooms twice. Because they actually they actually bloom twice. Yeah. They close up and then they rebloom after I think after you pull them out or after a certain season.
But basically, in this place, they end up getting their stuff together. They start getting big. We do get a glimpse of the. Did they name her? Of the forger.
Nah,
No,
they
but that
didn't
was
get ready.
cool. I like that.
You got the fire behind her. She goes to make the trade for the weapon.
And what's up with that axe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you're asking a lot of questions.
Has some unique weapons behind Ruby when she enters the place, and she's forging a butterfly wing. Interestingly, at least I think it's a butterfly wing. I don't know.
Yeah, that weapon in the background really kept like drawing attention to itself, like that was going to be Ruby's new weapon or something.
That'd be cool. That would match with the reforging idea.
Yeah. Maybe she's reforging the herbalist.
Could be.
Butterfly wing.
I mean, they did have a butterfly flying around like the whole 5 episodes.
I still like to believe it's the herbalist.
Could be Penny.
GG. Dang.
I thought that that this girl was going to be related to Penny somehow because she looks like the kind of thing that you'd see as a fairy tale depiction of her, of a robot girl.
She did show her the sword.
Mm.
It was kind of surreal because it was like she wasn't even actually there. She's walking, and then she hears the ring of this hammer, and then lights go out, and then she is there, but she's like somewhere completely different, like separate. There's no people here.
Like in her
And
thoughts.
Yeah, and it's kind of like in her thoughts.
And then the cat pulls her back to reality by saying, "Who are you talking to?" So yeah, that person wasn't even there.
So,
in fact, the sword wasn't even there. It wasn't even that sword. It ended up being a different sword, and then pulled right back to reality.
Yeah, it's like change. And it was kind of like because she was like, it can be, you can choose a different weapon if you want. Yeah, it doesn't have to be your, it doesn't have to be Crescent Rose.
That weapon that it does keep pointing to is absolutely the kind of thing that looks like it would come out into a scythe.
It almost looks like, well, I can't say it looks exactly like Crow's weapon, but it kind of resembles it a little bit.
It's like the blade bends out a little bit and juts out. That could absolutely contort itself into a scythe.
Yeah.
And it's a rifle is the other thing.
Yep.
It might be a temporary weapon that Ruby uses. I don't want to see her get rid of Crescent Rose.
But if she's changing.
Yeah, I still don't want to see her get rid of Crescent Rose. Especially Crescent Rose is better to her color scheme than this weapon.
She got rid of her rose. Contains a mother's promise.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to give that away anyway.
That's true. Did she actually lose it in the end? Did it take it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can remember. Yeah, when she does come back to reality as well, there's the girls with the cat. They're all like, what the hell are you doing? Come on, stop fucking around.
He's facing out. Come on, Ruby.
Chop, Ruby. God. Which definitely is just going to distance her further.
This episode really just got straight into the point of here come the Jabberwocky or Jabberwocka or whatever. Jabberwocker.
And we see
fireworks. Right? It was like danger
versions of it.
Multiple of them. One of them starts getting big because it had some of the ice cream or the parfait. And also, a small thing. I don't like that the Jabberwock hit Ruby in her semblance. Because if it's that easy to fucking do, then that means like it carries a physical weight to it. Which means if it splits itself apart and things happen, there's just weird possibilities that could happen with that. And there are other attacks that I feel like should have hit her in the past. There's a weird little nitpick though. This stuff's just that I had.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah, they almost leave Ruby behind as she's essentially turning into a lost child again, not able to do anything without her weapon, which has been a pretty common theme throughout the show.
Maybe this will be the one where the arc where she realizes she's more than her weapon.
Maybe. That'd be nice. But who comes in to save the day? The Rusted Knight.
Rusted Knight, baby. Jackalope.
Rusted Knight on his jackalope, plus some weird bird guy that is just like the unsung hero of the episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that he comes in. Like he comes in to save the day and then he goes to distract him. It's like, hey, we just talked about how people hate these things because if they die to it, then their soul is just gone, whatever. They don't ascend. And then this guy goes to fight 5 of them. It's just like fucking noble as hell, dude. But why did you do that?
Then you have to wonder, like, if you're fighting it and that's not the real one, and that's actually Neo, does that still happen? Like, do you still not? But I mean, they wouldn't know that, I guess, unless they can see that kind of stuff.
The closest hint that they would have had is seeing it's the one that they beat when it like dissolved into Neo's semblance looking aura. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing whatever happens with Neo. But I end up they make their way to the top of the little city, at the top of the Lotus, and then they have their whole little talk with Jean. The Rusted Knight removes his armor after Blake gushes about him about how she's like fangirling over him.
Then freaking him making the comment, "It's about time," or something like that. You know, it's like he knew that they were going to show up eventually, like throughout time. Like he knew that he came in a different time period.
Yeah. He also has a wolf tail, which he alluded to back in like volume 4, I think. Warrior's wolf tail. So man, seeing Jean older though is fucking like that was a what the fuck kind of a moment.
Yeah.
Even though like you could recognize it, you could see the sword on him, the armor was there. It was just seeing it confirmed was just like, what the fuck? Even his sheath is cracked.
Rusted and cracked. His sword's broken, pretty much. So it's like, man, I don't know, like what has he been through? Like
That's why I hope the rest of the like they do like a side thing where they show what he's been through. That'd be cool.
I think we're going to get something like that, 1 or 2 episodes now.
I need at least 2. Give this man some screen time.
Oh man, it's gonna be interesting. But he remembers Team RWBY, so if he did give up any of his memory, it wasn't to them. I'm really curious to know what's gonna happen, how he got the way he did.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to. Yeah, y'all get any I guess theories of what's gonna happen from here? Like what's gonna happen to RWBY, or maybe what happened to Jean, and maybe you guys have some sort of insight on who those mysterious 9 figures were behind you, because I still have questions. I looked through every picture of every character in the series, and I cannot identify any of them.
No, I've got absolutely no
characters. I'm hoping for anyway. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
and then I think that we'll get like some sort of like at least 2 or 3 episodes, like Connor said, of what happened with John, or they'll tie it in somehow.
He also has that strip of whatever it was, the ribbon or cloth that Pyrrha gave him, but now it's tying up his hair.
Yeah, he still got it with him. He still remembers. I guess if we would have seen that, we would have known for sure, like a long time ago. If they had shown that even once, like yeah, like, it's John, no doubt.
And I don't know. I don't think I have any other theories other than what we've talked about.
Yeah, me neither. We've already discussed it basically.
Yeah, Jean's probably gonna die, but then he's also gonna live.
So, best boy and best girl.
That's well. All right, we don't have to go episode by episode. We can just do the entire first 5, and I think the answers are pretty obvious. But I'll go last.
Right.
Mike,
Travis.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So I think Weiss for sure, and then I'm gonna say, even though he was only in it for 1 episode, John.
Mike.
Yep, no, definitely John. For best boy, few candidates. Red Prince was up there. No, it's fine. But John for best girl was kind of tough because like technically Penny was referenced in this episode, so I want to give it to Penny, even though she's not technically there. But I was like, okay, I'll be fair. I'll give it to an actual character, and it was torn between Ruby and Weiss, really, but I had to give it to Weiss because like it was. I didn't want to give it. I more so wanted to give it to Ruby just because of like the joke bits, but I can't put the whole thing on just the joke bits. That's just like a writing thing. So I was like, okay, aside from that, like she was my favorite through it, and mostly because of her current development.
I, on the other hand, will do exactly that, and I'm absolutely going to say Weiss would be the best for me if it wasn't for the joke bits that I think just contrast with the tone of what it's actually trying to say. So as a result, I'm giving it to Ruby for best girl. And then best boy, I mean, there's only 3 options really, and that's the cat, the Red Prince, or Jean.
Yeah,
and
Jinxie.
as much as I like the cat, I guess Jinxie too. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about him. As much as I like Jinxie and the cat, I mean, fucking Jean's come in with that. He's so fucking badass. I mean, it's actually no. There's a 5th. There's the bird. The bird was a hero, an unsung hero that I kind of want to give credit to. He'll get an honorable mention. But Jean will be best boy for all of us. If you have any theories that you want to talk about, feel free to put them in the comments below. We haven't been doing discussions week by week or reactions at all thus far, so those aren't going to come out in another video. But if you'd like to see us do them, comment on this video, and then by the time the next episode comes out, we'll make a judgment as to whether we're going to keep doing these in 5-episode increments or start doing every week again, or if we're just going to skip reactions altogether as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thanks to our patrons. You're going to see that slide now, and bye.